With Nationals behind us, and with it, the first year of the Digimon trading card game, we are ready for the long road that 2022 has in store for us. In this series, we'll analyze the gameplay of one of our Digimon teammates or local legends and see what we can learn from them. I'm your host, Yadam, with Team PPG, and this is our Road to Champion. Hey guys, welcome to the second episode of Road to Champion. In this episode, we're looking at one of my games from last week's PPG Regional Qualifier. In this Regional Qualifier, I decided to play Blue Hybrid and I was able to take it all the way to first place, being undefeated after Swiss. This is a top 8 game where I'm playing against Cherubimon Lucimon, and it really showcases the strength of the Blue Hybrid deck, and I think is an excellent game for us to analyze here in the Road to Champion. So let's get right into it. Starting off, my opponent won the die roll, playing an Itmon in the back into a Boko. It's very often in this meta that people set you to 3 memory, and I take it from here. I hatch, have my Upamon, I have the good Strabi in the back, or at least the Strabi that I enjoy playing the rookie, and now I have so many options that I'm having a difficult time here deciding. I go ahead and play the Strabimon. I take my time thinking as I grab the Leopard. I already have the Beowulf in hand. My opponent asks to read, and that guy is broken. That is the Freeze guy. I go ahead and I bottom deck the Leopardmon as well as the other hybrid, play the Koji, and pass my turn. My opponent does have a strong turn with the Itmon and Boku in play, so he goes and decides to attack. It dies. Unfortunately, it didn't hit a tamer for me, and he goes and mills 5 cards. That's already a very strong mill, as my opponent is down to 7 cards in the trash very early in the game, and he chokes me to 1 by playing his memory tamer. Definitely a strong opening from my opponent, still having the Bokomon on his board, as well as choking me to 1 while, starting his own memory tamer. It puts me in a spot where I really can't do much, so I respond by playing my Sorenjo. Now, Sorenjo isn't a memory tamer, but it effectively is, so we're here joking around about the fact that it will gain me 2 memory, effectively starting me at 3, unless his Bokomon goes ahead and deletes himself to my security. Now, that is a risk that my opponent has to take, as they can check easily any sort of card. Now, by playing the second Bokomon, he guarantees that I start at 3 no matter what. Now, I think here he has one of 2 options as he grabs the level 5 for purple. A very strong card that adds a lot of... Yeah, I go here to read it because I hadn't played against this card just yet. And I saw and noticed that this card basically loops Matt infinitely, which is kind of good because it recycles the entire graveyard. And he shows me that he can do it. So he's gaining 2 off of both the Bokos here, making it effectively a gain 2 memory off of that evolve. Goes into the level 5. Let's see where he goes from here. Very strong turn. He goes and attacks. See, deletes himself. So on deletion, plays back the Matt. And here's exactly what I was talking about. The card has a very strong recyclability. And unfortunately, my security thus far has been very weak. It's been 2 Digimon. There hasn't been any boost. There hasn't been any tamers that he's hit. So it's been very good for my opponent thus far. He plays Analog, putting me to 1, which then will effectively put me to 3 memory. So I evolved the Leopard on top of the Koji. For 1, I activate its effect, triggered a bounce, triggered the Koji to gain 1. So I do deal effectively with one of them. I hit into one of his Koichis, so he does get a little bit more play there. But off of that, we'll see where we go from here. I think I take my time to really cash my cards in because I need to get some tempo and I need to get some draw. See, that Strabimon being 3k is also pretty relevant since things are very weak. Bokomons, Tamers, and even the Itmons allow it to live. So I did get a good little tempo swing here. I put him down to 2 security while, there we go, playing my own memory tamer. Unfortunately, my Koji is gone. Big sad. But I do grab another Beowulf here, as I'm pretty sure this Beowulf is not long for this Earth. Noticing that he does have Infinite Tamers plus a Bokomon on board. I think he's asking me if that Boko is frozen, so I go ahead and let him know, hey man, it's really not frozen, because unfortunately my Leopard did not go on top of Tommy. So it's just these little new interactions that people are getting used to. Okay, and he goes here, right back up to that level 5. Very strong card. Allows for a lot of plays here, and I think in this turn he's going to go ahead and be able to clear my board effectively by crashing into my Beowulf, recycling, gaining a memory. I'm surprised he didn't go on top of the mat here. That must mean that his hand just is full of really good hybrids. So yeah, he's going to take the trade here. He's going to get his on deletion, gain a memory. And he's going to go ahead and play the mat, which is going to add him the Lobo. Oh, I guess he already had a mat engraved, so that makes perfect sense. Adds the Lobo. He goes here, and unfortunately that is a misplay from my opponent. I think here we're talking about it and we're both laughing, but unfortunately, since he went on top of the mat that was just summoned back by the level 5, unfortunately his Louis can't go in and attack this turn. So he did have a lot of plays here. Even so, just thinking about the board state, he did clear my Beowulf. He has 3 attackers on the board. I do have 3 security. He has an insanely powerful turn. And right here, he goes and does something a little spooky. So here we're talking about what the Lucimon is going to go ahead and delete. Big problem here, he's going to take the Strabi, but he does have 4 attackers to my 3 security, but he just gave me 9 memory. And that is a big issue in this format, in a format where not, like maybe back in the past where people were hard dropping these strong level 5s, strong level 6s, let's all remember Mega Zoo. It doesn't seem like you can really do that this format. You can't afford to do it. Now, I take my time to think here as, again, this is top 8, and I don't want to make any mistakes, and I do have a crazy board to deal with. That Gazimon is putting me through infinite pressure, so I go ahead and evolve on top of the Davis. And I think this, I'm thinking about how I want to navigate this board, how I truly clear this board in an effective manner, and leave him with little to do. So I know I have the Leopard that's going to be able to deal with the Lucimon later, but I just want to make sure I go through everything. So I go ahead and I sack security. I think I hit into a Calling from the Darkness, so it adds to hand, and I bounce his Boko. I go here and I take my Leopard for 1, and freezing the Lucimon. I play a Strabi. I really am just kind of digging for what to do here. Grab the Beowulf, grab the Koji. Man, Strabi is so strong, and almost always +1s in this deck. And I go here for 1. And I go Magna to end my turn. I do have the Davis under, making the Koji a 1. So I do bounce his guy, unsuspend, trash his mat. The reason I chose to do that is because, unfortunately, if I do bounce the Gazi, it doesn't really do much for me at this point. And I know he has another level 5. So I wanted to make sure to take care of the hybrid at this time. So my board is now threatening lethal because the Magna Rug was unsuspended. And I do have the memory blocker in the back. So any sort of memory shenanigans will be stopped by that at this point. The Soren Joe also adds another attack, if you will, because I do have a tamer in place. So I have 4 attacks. Magna Guru can unsuspend himself, so I have 5 attacks looking at him, and he has to really think about this play. His Lucimon being frozen is also huge for me. The best thing that he has for him is the Gazi, but I do think the fact that he's now facing my 3 security is not looking too good for him. I think those early checks that I went ahead and did earlier, that one turn where I just cashed everything in, really caught me back up in a game that I almost was blown out by. So my opponent's taking the think here. A little think. Really deciding what to do. I think he's counting the cards in his trash, trying to think about maybe a potential Lucimon play. I know he has to get rid of the Magna Guru, but he hasn't decided on how to do it. So he goes for the Susano, which is effectively a kill spell. The fact that his Lucimon is frozen gives me the +2. So I'm asking, oh, yeah, we're here joking. Of course, he's going to go ahead and delete the Magna, but not the Strabi. So I do have 2 attacks to his 1 memory. I already gave myself the 2. I push up. We're kind of joking here because it doesn't really seem, yeah, and we're talking about a play that someone made on another video. And I just decide to cash him in. I don't think there's any sort of recovery in the deck, and Medidoki Betamon is stopping any Jack Rage shenanigans. I'm not really sure what my opponent's list is looking like, but I'm just trying to play around as many possible cards as I can. So because of that, we take a quick game 1, and fortunately we're able to secure a good game 1 after being behind for so much of it. Looking back at the game, I think my opponent could have been a little bit more aggressive, but I think he's unfamiliar with the matchup. He's telling me that I'm the first blue hybrid that he's played in this tournament, and I think I'm talking to him about the fact that like the freezing mechanic really stops the Lucimon and makes it a little bit slower. He's telling me about the fact that like maybe a Cherubi would have saved him, another board to clear. He needed very specific cards, but unfortunately he just didn't see him. He did see a very strong hybrid package, which surprisingly helped him cycle so much in the early game that I was even surprised. That level 5 purple Digimon is very impressive. So we'll go here, starting the game. I think he opts to go first as we hatch. Yep, he does opt to go first as he goes Pagumon into Analog Boy, whiffing on the rookie. But that's what Analog does. Analog technically is another rookie searcher, as he does decide here to go for the Impmon, it seems. We're having a little bit more lag. Okay. So he adds the Impmon, puts me to 2. I didn't whiff on a rookie this game, but I do start a very strong opener. Unfortunately, I didn't get the +1 off the Strabi, but I think that's fine. I think I put 2 Strabis into play. I have a hand that's just looking a little too powerful from my standpoint. So we'll see where we go from here. He evolves the Impmon, as you definitely should, choking me right, well, not choking me, putting me right back to 2 off the Boko, and I think this Boku is only adding a Louis. Bottom decking the Cherubimon. I think that's the first one that we get access to see in this game. So since he put me down to 2, I will go ahead and go and play my Lobo. Take the attack, take the Upa draw. It dies. That's perfectly fine. I do get the on deletion, play the Koji. Very, very powerful. And still thinking Strabi's just going to check in. No fear. It ends up dying. It is what it is. And I do get the Boko. Boko looking exceptionally beautiful and handsome right now as he adds me not only a hybrid, but a tamer. So I'm just deciding on one hybrid to pick. Obviously, I must grab the Tommy. And I think I opt to grab the Beowulf, bottom decking the rest of my cards. Now, obviously, you can choose the order in which you're bottom decking cards, guys, and probably we should. I'm being a little lazy since I think this matchup is extremely in my favor, so I really don't care about doing it, but good practice makes for perfect, you know? So perfect practice makes for, you know, perfect execution is what I meant to say. So he goes on top. He goes Koichi, free evolve on the Louis. The Immon surviving there was actually huge, and giving me that Howling Memory boost is just way too powerful. He chokes me to 1 off of his level 5, and let's just see what I have in store for him off this turn. So I think this is the turn that I wanted to showcase in this video. This is a 1 memory, Boko, Tamer, and Howling Memory boost. I take a free evolve here, and we'll go free Leopard. Leopard is on top of the Koji, so we don't get the freeze. We go down to 1. I'll attack into the Immon, trigger to bounce that, gain the memory off of the Koji, and I guess Beowulf is unblockable, technically, XD. I will go ahead and gain 2, go back to 3, choke him down to 1, and his board's gone. So effectively off of 1 memory, I took care of 3 Digimons. I have a level 6 on board that Koji's under, and I have a Boko while still choking my opponent. That just seemed super strong. Now, I could have put him to 3 and not pop my boost, save my boost for later, but the fact that his deck plays Gazimons, I didn't really want to take a risk in not getting that memory now when I could. And he's talking about the fact that, like, my deck only bounces Digimon, doesn't really delete them, and his deck kind of fuels off the deletion aspect. So he's talking about, man, the fact that this matchup even exists is it's pretty rough on the purple side. So my opponent's here taking a big think, either calculating for Susano or calculating for Howling Memory, or sorry, for Lucimon. And I think he just opts out, gives me 10, and kills the Magna. So this is the exact play we were talking about earlier. The fact that you cannot give people his memory. My hand is looking like a library book, and I do have 2 Digimons on board to his 3 security. So we'll take a quick little gander here. So we'll go down for 3. That is frozen because I am evolving on top of a hybrid. So I go 3. I set up a Davis for later. Go down to 3 memory. 7 paid so far. We'll go swing. We'll trigger the Upa. I don't really care about what's happening, honestly. I do hit into a Koichi, so it lives. I play Neemon, the boy. And Neemon here is going to play that Tommy that I grabbed earlier off the Boko. Crazy white rookies, man. Those guys they combo so well together. They're insane. So the Tommy, obviously, any card that I summon on top of the Tommy cannot get its attack this turn. But I don't think that really matters. I just decided to go on top of the Davis, go Chuckmon, swing in my Boko. Boko's gonna trigger a, Dead or Alive, which he does not have another Chaos Mode into the graveyard to truly punish my play. So he goes Lucimon for the heal, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. Leopardmon, put you to 1, freeze a Lucimon. Holy moly. So his whole board is just frozen. He does have 2 security facing for Digimon as well as a Tommy. So there's 5 potential swings coming at him next turn. His board is frozen, and he's at 1 memory. Again, I've just been taking the opportunity that my opponent didn't see a mat early this game to truly punish and freeze him and choke him. And that's what blue really does. It takes those small opportunities and runs away with it very consistently. I think I'm talking to a bystander over there talking about how absolutely strong this deck just looks at this point in time. My opponent raises the Itmon after looking at the trash, and he's taking a quick think, a big think turn. Triggers into another Tamer. I mean, that's just the way that blue is. It's just, honestly, our security is weak. We don't really delete you off security, but we do gain more attacks on security. So now we have 6 attacks. And he's taking another turn to really think about what he's going to do here. He needs to find a way to clear this. He goes, yeah, so we're talking about the interaction with Calling from Darkness. So I was explaining to him the fact that if he does choose to pick up the Immon, it will not get the on deletion effect, but he does still trigger all the effects plus grab any card in the graveyard. So if he does Calling from Darkness, this Immon, he will be milling another 5. I think he has like maybe 10 set up in the graveyard at this point, so maybe some sort of Jack Raid plays to prolong his plays. We'll see. So again, his turns are quite thought-provoking, as mine are a little bit more cut and dry. Hit you, freeze you. So let's see what he chooses to do here. As I think The fact that he's frozen to 1, unless he has a couple jack raids, just makes this very difficult. So he goes Susano here for 7, putting me to 6. The Soren Joe will also trigger, putting me to another 8 as he counts the cards. Misput a dead or alive there, but he's going for the full shuffle. All right, and he's basically dropping his hand down to 3 cards in order to do what necessarily? So Susano does still have an on-deletion effect on play, and he's right here trying to think about what on-deletion he wants to do. So he's thinking about playing, killing the Leopardmon, which does have the Strabi under him, which will allow me to play Koiji. The fact that Nemon exists makes that the other Leopardmon, if it's deleted, will replay the Davis or any other sort of tamer that I have in the graveyard. So I do let him know that before he makes his decision. I think he does make the right choice. Yeah, see, so here he goes, me letting him know about Nemon. And I think he decides to go for the Leopardmon that he doesn't know if I have Koiji in hand, so he's basically telling me you have to have the card. Fortunately, I do have the Koji. Again, my hand does look like a library book, so it's a little bit irrelevant. And I go and decide to have a little fun with it. I do have basically infinite memory. I have, I go play Beowulf, bounce 1, go bounce the Impmon, hit his security, and yeah, let's have a little fun with it. I have infinite cards in my hand. I have the Koji that was just triggered off of his attack. I mean, I could just obviously cash in the Boko and the Nemon here, but, this being top 8 and us having a nice little fun match, I do want to showcase the absolute strength of this deck, as Bokomon makes the Magna Guru a 2 cost. Putting 2 Strabis makes Magna Guru free. I'm going to unsuspend the Beowulf. The Beowulf is not once per turn. I just realized that, which blows my mind. My opponent decides to scoop it up. He has seen enough. This deck is just a little too absurd, and we take the game. So I hope you guys enjoyed that one, and I'll see you guys in the post-game analysis. And we're back. So I did want to showcase this week's Road to Champion by showing you the blue hybrid deck that I was fortunate enough to go undefeated with at our PPG Regional. Now, this was a 40-odd person tournament with a great showing. We were able to have a couple of our friends from Gaia Force Gaming here, and it was honestly a great little showing of Digimon for BT7. So I'm going to give you guys a little recap. I think I played, over the course of the tournament, mostly Yellow Hybrid. Now, Yellow Hybrid was the deck that I feared the most, as honestly, the more Jet Sylphimons they do play, the more they can out-tempo me. I know the fact that they have TK and Kari plus the purple Kari allows them to have a lot of memory to deal with, and me passing the turn and giving them 10 doesn't really feel great. My deck doesn't excel at that. But they do have to have the Jet Sylphimons in order to beat me, and as long as I'm playing around the purple option that deletes my board, I'm having a good time. So I'm basically playing Gabu Bond in a security control matchup, and we all understand how that goes. Although the security control was favored, if you play the matchup correctly and you just take one swing at a time, and having all these tamers that they can't really interact with be a part of my board allows me to really take the game a little slower and be able to take it. I think the only draw that I had was against a Yellow Hybrid. Now, the only way that they were able to beat me is because game 2, I didn't scoop it up fast enough. They saw a lot of their TK and Karis early, plus their purple Karis. So I decided, well, if they're going to play all those cards, I'm not going to hit their security. I'm going to give them infinite time, and I'm going to build up in the back. I had a Magna Guru in the back. I had a Koji, and I had one turn that I just went for it. And I left them at 0 security, and unfortunately, you guys saw from the deck list, I do not play Hammer Spark, but I was 1 memory away from killing them, and if I just waited maybe for one more Howling memory boost, I could have taken that game. Me being how I am, I'm very hard-headed. I don't like to scoop games, but sometimes scooping and not losing to time or drawing to time is very important, as game 3 was where we went into time, and I definitely had that game in the bag. I played against one red player, and I was just, if red doesn't see the line, it's just red is what it is. Red can definitely take the matchup. They do see the right cards. They just mow through my security and kill me, and there really isn't much I can do about it. As you guys saw, my security is mostly tamers and 1 ice wall. Not much defense, and honestly, the matchup can go in their way very easily. I did play against green-red, which is another matchup that I do think, again, is favored, as they do, the fact that they don't have as many if they don't see JP as much as they need to, my deck can easily take the game away by just freezing their cards indefinitely. They can't really make plays. They do get 1 turn to pierce me, but other than that, what else? I did play against purple, as well as 1 black player playing Machine Dramon. Obviously, that matchup, as I discussed in the deck profile, is fortunately in my favor, as I'm able to strip sources. But Blue Hybrid definitely played exactly how I wanted to play, and it was just showcasing how consistent and how strong the deck can be. If my deck doesn't brick, I can one-shot you in 2 turns, but if my deck does, it can easily unbreak faster than yours. So because of that, I hope to see you guys in next week's Road to Champion. And as always, guys, keep topping.